The fish that like swims underneath you the whole level and then tries to eat you. That's her.
What the heck? I can't believe this stupid movie. Oh, why did they do that? Who even remembers that? Why? Hello and welcome back to the J&Z podcast. My name is Jace Van Art, and today we have such a special episode for you guys. I have recently watched the Super Mario Brothers movie, not the highly anticipated one from the creators of the Minions movie, but no, somehow one that's probably even worse, but yet is going to be a million times better than that one. Oh, no, we're talking about the previous Super Mario Bros. I think that's the name of the movie.
Yep.
And we have just so much to say. We're skipping introductions. We're getting right into it. This movie was such a ride. It started off so well, just so casual. You know, they're just like, to start things off, there's just something about this movie that I don't know how Nintendo ever allowed this to get made. It makes no sense.
So I honestly can't wait to like start talking about like how a ton of these actors and special effects like people, like the guy who did the music, all these people that have done this movie are super famous or have created something that is super well known. And with Nintendo, what they did was the story with this movie is actually really quite interesting, Jace. There's tons of videos out there, but I really recommend that you go watch some of them, or maybe just look up like a few Wikipedia articles or something like that, because it's so crazy what happened with this. So believe it or not, Disney actually owns the rights to this movie.
They do?
Yes. So the production company Hollywood Pictures was actually one of their like older production companies that was more like they kind of produced like their edgy movies. So like if Disney ever wanted to do like a rated R movie, they could slap like Hollywood Pictures or like maybe something a little more edgy that didn't necessarily want the Disney logo on, you know what I mean?
I'd say this movie qualifies.
Yeah, so something like this, for instance. So I forget who bought the rights to the movie, but Nintendo was getting offers like bonanza. Now, remember, this is when Super Mario World was just released, Super Mario Land was just released, like Mario Mania was going everywhere.
That makes sense, because I was wondering where Yoshi came in, if it was mostly based off of 3, because he was in...
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so this was made after Mario World. It's a 1993 movie, and I believe World was 1990. I can't remember, but... So anyway, they were getting offers like crazy, and they were pretty good story ideas. Like, you can look all of these scripts up and stuff. A lot of them are what you would expect from a Mario movie. You know, the Mushroom Kingdom, it's a very colorful world, very kid-friendly stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You know, what you'd expect. What you would expect in the future.
So these guys came to him and said, hey, we want to do like an origin story. We want to do a darker take on Mario where it's kind of... It's still kind of lighthearted, but it's just a little more edgy, like for adults, but at the same time not for kids. But It's kind of in the middle there. More so like a Weird Science than, or a Goonies than like something like E.T. Like something for kids, but like not all the way.
It certainly had that. It is very like future dystopian, not like, you know, the Cloud Cuckoo Land, whatever, you know.
No, so it originally in the scripts, it is the Mushroom Kingdom, like you would expect. It's all, you know, like the video game, very colorful, very everything. Really? Slowly, the script would get rewrites all the way through. So, and what was sad for the cast is, you know, the cast did a pretty decent job for the movie, you'd think. Those guys were constantly drunk during the production of this movie. Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo were drunk out of their mind every single time they shot this movie. They did like 15 shots before every single take, they said.
That is.
And they did like a decent job on it. And it's not like it's the most
I didn't
worst
notice.
thing in the world. Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's cheesy acting, but it's like not bad acting.
Yeah.
Like I've seen worse. I've seen way worse acting.
Yeah. So the script would constantly get rewritten even during production. So the actors would even show up on, let's say, a Tuesday, and like hours when they show up, they get handed a new script, and then the next day they would get a new script. It was constantly like that, constantly. And what's surprising is the movie actually has a pretty consistent story. I mean, there's some continuate like errors in there somewhere, but I mean it's pretty consistent, and it's a
I
mildly
noticed some
easy.
consistency errors near the end. I hate being that person though, but it's just kind of funny to point them out more than anything. I don't really care.
But like throughout the story, it's like pretty consistent, and it's an
None of
easy to
the
follow story.
none of the major plot beats were like contradictory or anything. Nothing major was like you know, contradicting itself. And I had such a weird feeling with the tie-ins because it's just so strange with how they tie in the Goombas, how they tie in the mushrooms. Like I didn't even connect that that's what the fungus was going to be, was the mushrooms, and how that would even play into it. And I'm like, of all the ways they tie everything together with, but doggone it, it makes sense.
Yeah, like there's some
It
things,
should not make sense. This movie's ridiculous.
and
But it
I
could.
really recommend you go and rewatch it multiple times. Like obviously wait, but it's entertaining enough where you could watch it again here soon. And
I
but
wish
you
I brought
could
my
notice
sister along when
things.
we watched it. That she would have
So
enjoyed it thoroughly.
how do you think they would implement Mario's jump? Like how he can jump really tall? The
They
boots.
didn't.
The boots.
Oh.
The boots make sense though. It's like it's kind of like, okay, how do we make it where the guy can jump 9 feet in the air? It's like, okay, let's have him have rocket powered boots, and it's kind of like a floaty jump.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it makes sense. Um, if you noticed, a lot of the taxis, like those yellow weird cars, they have the caterpillar's name on them. They're wigglers.
That's what the cars were.
Yeah, they
That's
like
what
some
the
of them,
taxis were.
some of
They
them,
were wigglers.
some of them. But like,
Oh.
it's just got the name, so like, yeah, make at it what you want. You noticed on when you watched it, the castle has the Bowser's,
They got the weird
background, like this.
triangle
Yeah, the
windows.
spikes
Like,
from Mario
yeah.
3. Um,
They just
another
pick the weirdest stuff to reference. Just the
the
weirdest stuff.
the dumpster people that like they steal the masks from are Shy Guys, or like a
Oh.
different version of them, but they're the Shy Guy people. Um, what's another like really great reference in there? Oh, so Mario's girlfriend. Uh,
Is
her
that
name's
Pauline?
her name's Daniela in this, but in the original script, like her full name was Daniela Pauline. So actually, like it was kind of like a Donkey Kong origin at this. Like they were pulling everything out of like they like yeah, sure, the script makes like no sense as in terms of Mario, but when you look at it like really in depth, it's like, man, they actually like did their homework on this.
Like I get that this is I you know what? I appreciate it. I wish they actually kind of kept the whole, stereotypical New Yorker, I'm walking here kind of Mario. I like that a lot.
I
And
I told you, it's pretty good.
the the fact that he's so kind of bland, I think that that's what makes this movie fun to watch, and what's going to make the new Illumination movie kind of not as fun because Mario's kind of bland. He doesn't like do anything, in this movie, they make him something. They make him into a character. He may not be the most in-depth character. He may not be the most anything, but you know what? He actually has a sense of humor. He's,
We'll have to
and
see with the
Luigi.
new Illumination movie, but what I really like about this movie is Mario's kind of like a father figure to Luigi. I mean,
To an
yes,
extent, yeah.
Luigi doesn't have a mustache, but it makes him look younger compared to Mario. And the thing I appreciate about it is that that's how I've always seen Mario, as kind of like, yes, he's the older brother, but I like that he's like been the father figure in his life.
Yeah. I like that too. They really did a decent job setting up their relationship in the beginning. The beginning of this movie is so shockingly mundane and just like normal. They just have normal conversations, there's a little crazy stuff going on, but like they're just going to work. They're just
Yeah,
going to
it's like
dinner.
not that badly written.
They're
It's like,
having normal conversations. It's how you'd reasonably expect. And then they go through a portal and all of a sudden it's totally bonkers.
I told you, you were not prepared. Like, as much as you think you know what this movie's going to be about, it goes the complete polar opposite. Because right at the beginning, it sets the tone. You know, there's an egg. All of a sudden, a little baby pops out of it. And you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, that was jarring to say the
That
least.
sets the tone for the whole movie. You're just waiting for that moment when they go through the portal, and that's when everything just falls apart.
it's so it's just such a interesting concept, and I get why they don't use Princess Peach. I get why they use Daisy and whatnot, and that's totally fine. But just I love that they never did anything with that villain, with the whole like not Bowser, of course. King Koopa was fantastic. He's one of my favorite parts of this movie. I'm talking about the big business guy in the beginning. He's just there for a little bit of conflict, and then he's never brought up again.
You want to know like a fan theory of that? So
What?
he owns a construction company.
Yeah.
He gets turned into a monkey. Donkey Kong.
Dog.
Because
Darn it.
like it's stupid, but like when you think about it, okay, he owns like a construction company, and then he gets turned into a monkey. It's like, oh, Donkey Kong. See, it's like the little things like that. It's like, oh, but it's still like it makes you laugh because it's
so stupid.
it's like they would adapt something like that deep and that deep of a cut, but like the whole movie's in like a dystopian like Blade Runner world.
I know they have the cleverest ideas, but the problem is everything's shrouded in like, what the heck is this? It's like the craziest thing ever, and then it'll be like, I guess that makes sense, but there is so much other stuff that had to happen to make that make sense along the way that it's just so unbelievable.
So a few more things before I want to get your thoughts on like everything, because I want to just go in depth, because not a lot of people talk about this movie. A lot of people make fun of it, but not a lot of people give it like what they generally like about it to a certain degree. Most people just make fun of it, or they talk about like the production of it. Not a lot of people just sit down and talk about it. So just a few more things. So the guy who did the music for this, guess what famous movies he's done?
I would imagine the Water Boy.
No.
Okay.
This is the guy who composed all of the Avengers movies.
Doggone it! I was so close.
Alan
That
Silvestri.
is crazy.
And
that is insane.
And the soundtrack is actually like really good. It's got a good like quirky feel to it, and then it's got some serious ones in there. But I mean, I really enjoy it.
I should have paid more attention to it, but I didn't ever get the feeling that it was like tacky or anything. It sounded good to me.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like just rewatching the movie, like you can pay attention to different things. So like one time I watched Koopa the whole time. That's like all I paid attention to. And if you watch him, you know how he's a T-Rex? Like he's a de-evolutioned T-Rex?
Yeah.
if you watch his performance when he's a human, the entire time he holds his arms like a T-Rex. The
You're kidding.
entire time. I am not kidding. So when you watch him, there's like a few shots where he's like this. He's just like that, just walking like a T-Rex. There's little things like that where it's like, oh, they got little details like that.
I think that he is the best written character in this whole movie. Here's what I'm saying. They take these characters. They didn't. I'm assuming they didn't have like any representation of them yet. They didn't have, scared Luigi. They didn't have stoic Mario. I don't know what Mario doesn't do anything, but Bowser's like rawr, And they took him, and they just made him like evil, but like kind of just chill at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's such a funny balance. You never know what he's going to do, and he's just shockingly like laid back, half the time. And it's just so fun to watch him. You never know what he's going to do next. You never know how he's going to react to anything. And I just love his character. The way he says things.
Ba-bum.
Ba-bum.
Ba-bum. And it like centers it on his face. Ba-bum. Okay, so another deep cut. So remember how I was saying that you'd never guess who the lady in red is?
Yes, that lady. I racked my brain.
Take the wildest guess. Just take any character.
All right, who wears red that's not Pauline and is a I can't quite. Wait. What, is she a chain chomp?
No, but it's kind of like that. You know the Super Mario Brothers 3, the fish that chases you? The red fish? That's her. Big Bertha. The fish that like swims underneath you the whole level and then tries to eat you. That's her.
What the heck? I can't believe this stupid movie. Oh. Why did they do that? Who even remembers that? Why? Oh,
I told you, dude, just looking in like the behind the scenes stuff, there's some crazy things. That like when you read it, you're like, okay.
So you seem to have a pretty good grasp on why they made certain decisions. What prompted them to make the whole alternate dimension? Where did the whole evolution from apes or from dinosaurs come from? Because that's like,
I believe dinosaurs was just a really big deal at the time. It was during the whole dinosaur craze. Like, I think Jurassic Park came out a week after this movie. You had Mario World, which was the newest game, and you had Dinosaur World in there. Technically, this one's called Dino City or Dinotopia or something like that. But it's pretty close to the Mario World name. As far as the whole alternate dimension thing, it's not an alternate dimension in the original scripts, but I mean, you know how Mario's always been the Italian plumber from Brooklyn.
mm-hmm.
So that's always stayed in there, but it was kind of different, like in a few scripts where he would travel through a pipe and stuff.
I get that.
Yeah, it just kind of changed. Like I said, there were so many rewrites. It just kind of became its own thing after a while.
Was that a reference? Okay, so wait. Was that I mean, I get they're plumbers and everything, but when they were sliding down that, giant pipe, is that what that was kind of supposed to be?
That was like their big pipe.
Dang, that is insane.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, so one thing that might make a lot of people irritated, but I actually really agree with their Goomba like design and stuff, because listen, how big are Goombas compared to small Mario? And Mario never gains a mushroom.
I kind of was under the impression throughout the movie that he was Big Mario the whole time.
But you know how like Goombas are always the same size as Mario before he gets a mushroom?
Yeah. Yeah, he should. The Goomba should
So
be
in this
half as
movie,
tall. Why are they 10 feet tall?
well, I
They,
mean, as far as them being way taller, I don't understand, but them being around the same height or a little taller, I can kind of see where they were coming from there.
I don't. I do not agree at all with the whole Goomba thing. They should. That they would
But
have given
their
me
faces still look
nightmares.
awesome.
They would have given me nightmares as a kid. They would have scared. They would have kept me up at night. I'm not even kidding.
Another cool fact about those and like Yoshi himself is that I think Yoshi was the most advanced puppet up to that time. Like it took I believe either 3 or 5 guys to puppeteer him, but he was the most advanced puppet ever used in a production up to that point. Hey there, Editor Zeth here. Just to give an FYI, it actually took 9 different puppeteers to puppeteer this thing. And also, the guy who voices Megatron and like Fred Jones and stuff and Scooby Doo,
Hmm.
he did the voices for the Goomba and Yoshi, like the little sound effects and stuff, like or meow meow. You know,
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. That's really cool.
yeah. Like I said,
I
there's
I
so
have
many
to give them
famous things in
props.
here.
I have to give them props for that puppeteering. I didn't think that any of them looked just like bad or anything. I think they all look pretty
Yeah,
natural actually. When it comes
yeah.
to
The
all the
thing
little
that I really
lizards.
like about this movie too is that it was during a time in the early '90s where CGI was brand spanking new, but they still used a lot of practical effects. And the CGI, I mean, you can give it a little flack for its time because some of them hasn't aged properly, but it still looks great when they were like merging the dimensions and they were all like fizzing out. That looks kind of cool
It looked fine, and
when
then the city
Toad
looked
turns
fine.
into a Goomba and his face like stretches and morphs, or same thing with Bowser when his face stretches. Like that looks kind of cool.
I'm glad we kind of moved past that whole like. Yeah, I remember watching Pee Wee Herman with you in that car scene. Like, I'm glad we moved past that. Just as a society, we're like, you know what? We
Well,
don't
that
need
was
to
all in
see.
stop motion in Pee Wee Herman, but this was all CGI, so it
We
was pretty
don't
cool.
need CGI literal monstrosity face stretching. I'm glad we don't do that anymore. That I'm glad we moved past that.
Yeah. No, I mean, this movie's crazy, and it's definitely in my top 10, and it's kind of a weird one to say it is, but it's so entertaining to watch. Whether
It
you want
was
to,
so unbelievably fun to watch.
it is very fun. It's a lot like Speed Racer, where Speed Racer I will always consider to be a good movie. I know Super Mario Brothers is a bad movie, but it's
I had more
still
fun
just
watching this than Speed Racer.
oh okay. I still respect that, but uh this movie is just so much fun.
It's well, I'm not saying it's a better movie, but it is the more fun of the two, I feel.
Yeah. I know it's a bad movie, like in its storyline at least, and like its inconsistencies and stuff, but I still consider it to be like a good movie as in terms of it's entertaining, it's fun to watch, it's got some, decent acting in it for what they were doing behind on the set. You have some good music in there, you have great CGI, you have puppets that are like still really really great, like the Goombas and Yoshi. um, I mean, the story is pretty wacky, so
It's very wacky. I mentioned this when we were watching the movie, but I will no longer be convinced that the little mini game for New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, that little mini game where he jumps and you have the trampolines and you have to draw the little trampolines. There is no way they did not get inspiration for that from that movie. I'm sure they got it from, original Mario Bros. Or maybe, I don't know where they could. I'm sure there's definitely other spots where they got it from. But in my mind, I like to think that the scene where like the fungus stretches out across the scaffolding and catches Mario,
hmm
that in my mind will forever be where they got that idea from.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of things in here where you can kind of see like down the road how Nintendo I'm not saying they did, but like maybe was just kind of like, we'll borrow this little thing from the movie because up to this point, Mario and Luigi and everybody didn't have personalities or anything.
No.
They were still kind of just Mario and stuff. Uh, yeah, the voice isn't as gruff, or Mario's not saying "I'm gonna kill him and rip him limb from limb" like in the
He
movie.
is,
But
though.
no, but like in the movie, Mario's the go-getter. He's outgoing and stuff. Luigi's kind of the more wacky, humorous character, which you can kind of see they pulled later on. He's a little more scared now in the video games and is the fraidy cat compared to Mario, but he's still like more wackier than Mario's straight man.
Yeah. Which I don't see how Nintendo ever let this pass. This is Nintendo we're talking about here, though. Of all the things Nintendo, you know them. We were all shocked when they let them make a game with Ubisoft and the Rabbids, the Raving Rabbids Mario game, the Kingdom Battle. That was like news of the century because that is not a very Nintendo thing to do. And yet they somehow made one of the nuttiest movies you've ever seen in your entire life. This is by far the craziest thing they have ever and will ever do.
I know, and the movie almost was rated R, believe it or not.
What are you talking about?
No, like I'm not kidding.
About?
There was a lot of things before Disney got a hold of it, because I forget the production company that had it, but Hollywood Pictures was the one that was distributing it. That was a subsidiary of Disney. Disney saw what was going on and they were like, this is Mario, right? Because remember the scene when everybody's dancing?
Yeah, that was a little crazy.
All of those people they hired were originally strippers, and they were getting a little wild there originally until Disney, they walked in there and they were like, I mean, you can dance, but not like this. It's like, this is a movie for kids.
What the heck was with this development? It makes no
Oh,
sense.
you gotta. I'm serious. This is probably the most interesting behind the scenes development of a movie you can ever watch. It is just as entertaining as the movie.
We might make a video on this sometime then.
I mean,
that
I
might
would
be
definitely
fun to make
would.
a video on.
I would love to make a video going in depth in this movie.
I say go for it, honestly.
All right, we can do that in the future. Let me see. Let me think about it. Okay, so Nintendo knew the movie wasn't going to be good. They knew. They still had to. I don't know if they had to approve of it because they already approved like the older scripts and stuff, and then it started to change. But I think they knew it wasn't going to be good, but they were relying on the Mario brand. Because up to this point, remember, it was Mario Mania at the time. I mean, everybody was talking about Mario. You had Mario 3, Mario World, Mario Land. And Nintendo was on fire with the Super Nintendo. So I think they were relying on the Mario brand to really boost sale tickets. But I think it only made $38 million out of its $45 million budget.
It was a flop?
Oh, yeah.
I get it wasn't good, but it's not like they had Metacritic back then,
Well, everybody didn't like it, and everybody was kind of confused at it because it wasn't like Mario. Like now you can kind of look at this as like it's a cult classic. It's got, all these different things you can kind of pick apart. But at the time, it wasn't Mario. People knew that. Critics were very confused because it wasn't for adults because it still had, pretty childish stuff in it for adults.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for kids either because you had things like Mario swearing sometimes. You had, some cleavage in there and stuff. You just had some things in there that wasn't exactly for someone that was 5 years old.
Yeah, there were some very questionable scenes. Not to mention the one that did not age well at the end. That caught me off guard. Let's just say.
No.
Let's just say.
Don't talk about that one.
That one of Bowser's decrepit, decaying skyscrapers happen to replace, unfortunately, one of the most formerly iconic buildings in the New York skyline. And to say it aged poorly would be the misconception of a lifetime. Just that's all I have to say about it.
Oh yeah,
But it's
that one's a bad one.
good grief. But that one's kind of out of their control. That one's not exactly on them. But
No, this
it just
happened.
adds to the absurdity of this entire film, though, from today's perspective, is all I'm saying. But
Yeah. Actually, another really absurd fact about this movie. I could talk about all day about this movie, dude. There's so many like wacky things that happened. Bob Hoskins broke his hand halfway through development. So if you
really,
watch some scenes, you can actually see his cast on his hand, and they painted it pink, like like his hand, but you can still pretty easily tell if you observe pretty carefully, or it's blue, like with his sleeve of his arm. But what happened was they were drunk. All right, at almost every time of production, they were driving the van at a certain point, and there was something they had to say, like "step on the gas, Luigi," or something like that. So John Leguizamo slammed on the gas as fast as he could, went whooshing, and then slammed on the brake, and the sliding door that's to Mario's right, he grabbed a hold of it to brace himself, and the door slammed on his hand when that happened.
ooh.
So on top of them being drunk, I mean, there was people getting hurt on set on top of constant rewrites. I mean, it was seriously, this is the most craziest production you can ever read about.
Was it delayed at all? I get with all the rewrites and stuff. Was it like a Duke Nukem, just crazy? I mean, obviously not that long or anything, but it seems like one of those films that just get caught up in development forever and ever. Kind of like what's that one?
Don't
Anyway,
believe so. I think it was on track. I think it went over budget on the filming and like over time on filming. I think they were supposed to stay for 5 weeks and it went to 12 weeks. So that's bad. But it got made because the directors were all constantly hated. Like even the actors were making like shirts of like, "We hate the directors. They're a bad word on them." They would make
really?
Oh yeah, it was, like I said, crazy. So no one liked the directors on this picture. And on top of that, they didn't like them so much, they locked them out of the editing room. So the editors, they sat in a room, they locked the door, the directors were not allowed inside.
That is just absurd. There is so much to this movie that's just ridiculous.
There's a lot more, dude.
It sounds borderline even more absurd than the movie, and that's saying something. It seems there's just as much entertainment value in learning about this movie than there is in watching it.
Yeah, I believe the Gaming Historian did a really good video on it, and I believe if you just look up like the production behind the scenes, there's probably like a few more, but Gaming Historian did a really good video on it. And then they actually have like a pretty big fan website of like how each thing and like the history of the production and stuff like that. And I recommend you really check that out, dude.
Yeah, I'm glad there's so much resources on what there's so much background you can find online about the development and all this stuff. I'm super interested now to check this out because this movie was just a blast to watch. It wasn't necessarily funny.
Literally,
but I just love the way they say it.
On the
I
case,
love the way they.
the one review, it's a blast.
It's a blast. That's all they could find. That is it. And just the way that they talk in the movie. It's just so fun to listen to them. They just make the corniest jokes, but sometimes they're actually genuinely clever and funny.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, King Koopa is by and large just the best part of this movie. Everything he does is just so funny and just so entertaining. Whether he's ordering a pizza right at the end and just
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
it's a joke that they're like constantly building. It's throughout the whole ending, and then all of a sudden he just gets a call. It's like, "Sir, your pizza's here," and that's just like the climax of the joke. It makes no sense. What'd you
Yeah,
think
so
about these suits when they actually get their Mario and Luigi suit? Did you like that?
I mean, it was fun and it was kind of funny, but man, do they look like something you'd get at Party City for Halloween, you know?
Really?
Like they are the cheapest. They look like they were made out of an arts and crafts kit. I'm
I
not
actually
even kidding.
really like the designs of their suits in this movie.
I mean, the design itself, it just looks like the quality of the materials were
Hmm. I gotta
non-existent.
disagree with you there.
Really?
Yeah, I actually I really like the suit. Like, as in terms of a more like, I
I
mean, it
thought it'd
makes
be
no
more
sense
like
in the movie. Like,
overalls,
they open up a little locker, and it's like, oh, here's our suits in there, and they just put them on. Like,
just
there's
some
no explanation.
random
Yeah,
door.
but as in terms of like the actual look of them, like I like how they're kind of grimy and dirty and stuff. Like, I like that look to them.
Oh, that part was fine. I had no issue with that. It was more just they just didn't look like rugged worker, suits or whatever. They kind of just looked like a costume of a suit, you know.
I gotta disagree with you there. I mean, yeah, as in terms of the bright colors, but I just really liked how they looked in this movie.
It regardless, that doesn't change the fact that it's fun, and I'm glad they put that in there. It does. They could have literally done anything in this movie, and it would have been fun. So I'm glad they did stuff. They took some pretty big chances because they kind of knew it was kind of a mess anyway. So might as well.
I'm just glad you like this one. I mean, you were kind of like, Zeth, this is probably going to be the worst movie of all time. Like, when you got the DVD and stuff.
Oh, the DVD was ridiculous. Oh my gosh, we didn't talk about the best part, the
What?
bomb.
Oh, yeah, it's pre-Bach feet.
Yeah, the bomb, is building up the whole time to take out Bowser. The fungus is manipulating it. It's walking. Everybody's scared of it, and then it walks underneath the grate. Bowser looks down, and you just see Reebok on each of its feet with the little symbol, and it blows up.
I just like that they make fun of like the
That was
actual
the
like concept of a Babam, because like
yeah.
Babams are like kind of a slow character in there, and then they just like twist it, and you're expecting it to like them to throw it or something, or it
Yeah,
explodes or go a
but
little faster, and it
it
just kind of walks out.
just like a little toy, just like a little firework. Oh man, there is so
Yeah.
much to love in this movie, and I think I have to watch it again here soon just to kind of see all the little details. Now that I know what to expect, I can kind of keep an eye out instead of wondering what on earth is going to happen.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend like watching the movie a few times. Like, obviously, wait maybe once a month or so, but like take each time to observe something. Maybe one time you watch it just for Koopa's sake. The next time, watch it just for the music. Like, listen to the music. Another one, try to pick out as many references to the video game as possible, because there's
I have to watch him go like this the whole time.
I'm dead serious. Look up any scene with him. It's just him just walking like a T-Rex. I'm not even kidding. It's
Is
something
that
that
all
was
that changed? Because they zapped him in the beginning with like the prehistoric setting, and he didn't do anything, but his eyes just kind of
Well, I
like
don't know if that's when it started, but you just gotta look up like any scene, and he'll just be like this. Yeah.
I am so thankful that you showed me this movie, Zeth. I'm still kind of shocked at just everything that just happened when I watched this movie. Just everything is so hilarious, and it's even whether it's meant to be or not. And I'm glad they just kind of gave up on trying to make it like serious or whatever, and they just did whatever they thought was the best. So
It's a very interesting movie because, you know, it's one of those 90s relics from the past where it's like, hey, did you know there was a Super Mario Brothers movie? And everybody's like,
Yeah,
what?
what?
It's like it's kind of like a what? And then, you hear like, oh, Bob Hoskins was Mario. It's like, okay. Dennis Hopper was Bowser. Okay.
What? Yeah, I still love the fact that he's Bowser. I love that. That's what they saw Bowser in these games and they were like, this is it. This is how we want to present him. It's just
I
some
can
guy.
I can kind of understand where they were coming from to a certain degree because one, it keeps the cost down where they don't have to have like a big massive puppet constantly or a CGI creature. I can understand that to a certain degree. It's still ridiculous though.
It is so insanely ridiculous.
That being said, Jack Black has some big shoes to fill.
I think Jack Black of all people will fill those shoes. I don't care if Bowser's boring in that one. I'm sure Jack Black will be a good Bowser.
Yeah. So now that you've heard, Mario talk like a lot, how do you feel about the new one with him talking? Because I
I
was fine from it from the beginning. A lot of people aren't, but like
Mario
how do you
talking
feel?
in this movie.
No, like I'm saying in the new one because a lot of people don't realize this movie exists and not a
I
lot of people
think
have watched it.
I think that it's going to be an issue. I have no idea what the heck Chris Pratt is going to sound like when he's voicing Mario, but I also understand why they're probably not going to have him sound like the 93 movie, and I get why they're not going to have Charles Martinet kind of voice him because I was looking into it, and if you ever watched him, they had him as Mario for like 3 minutes or whatever, talk about the 3DS features, and I'll send you the video at some point. But it is very hard for him to listen to him talk for anything besides, woohoo, or, something like that. It is very hard for him to talk for like 5 minutes. It's just not fun to listen to, let alone an hour and a half movie. So
I
they
wouldn't
need to
mind
do
if they made him
something.
talk like the one in the movie because that's what I'm kind of used to because, if you watch like the Super Show or like
Yep.
the
Yep.
original cartoon series, like this is what he sounded like, very gruff, like, hey, Luigi. So, I mean, I don't mind if Mario talks necessarily. I just hope Chris Pratt at least puts a little bit of a spin on it.
He has to because it's so hard to. I get why it's hard to make a Mario movie because Mario's just kind of bland. You have to put a spin on it if you're going to be like writing a narrative around him. Like if you play the games, there's nothing to him, right? Like he's just Mario.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything. He doesn't do anything. He just kind
I'm
of is like,
still
I'm going
holding
to
on
save
to
the
my
princess.
guns about it being a mixture voice because they have Charles Martinet being in there for cameos.
Right.
What if they have him actually being Mario with Chris Pratt? So Chris Pratt is the voice, obviously, and maybe, hopefully, what I'm hoping is that Chris Pratt sort of does his voice, maybe just in a more lighthearted, bubbly, like sort of matching Charles Martinet, but still being deep enough where you can stand it for more than 2 minutes of him talking. But then you can have Charles Martinet being like, wahoo, here we go, doing like
I'd be
things like
totally
that.
fine with that. But
Exactly.
it's just so hard after all this time to hear a Mario besides, Game Mario where he barely talks, and if he does, it's that, or Plumber Mario. I just don't think they're going to take that I'm from Brooklyn, I'm a plumber angle in this movie. And I don't see what else they could take, though, Like, how else could you possibly, you know, put Mario, but make it still be interesting, make him still an interesting character? I just don't think that's gonna work because it's Illumination and it's Nintendo, and they don't like to take chances anymore with stuff like this.
I think the only way to do a good Mario movie is to have the story focused on the brothers. Maybe have it where, I don't know, Mario maybe, I'm not saying hates his brother, but maybe just doesn't work well with him because of things. I don't know. Maybe
I'd
just
say the
have
opposite. I think you're onto something though.
no. But what I'm saying is like have it where throughout the story Mario and his brother are at the focal point and their relationship is at the focal point. That way you can have them together throughout the entire story, kind of like this one. And it can be their relationship, like them building their brotherly relationship, because that's what I think is the most important thing about a Mario movie. Kind of like this one, right at the beginning. They're brothers, they're friends, they have a great chemistry and relationship in this movie, and it's fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it
that's what they
is.
need to build in the Mario movie.
I just see the way the because this one was live action though, and because they had such creative liberties with it, I just don't see that the movie had charm. That was the thing. There was a certain charm about how they displayed Mario, how they displayed Luigi, and I don't think they can match it in this CGI movie as CGI Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom. It was fun because he was just like some New York plumber brothers, whatever. They could be whatever they wanted, but because they're setting it exactly in the same universe, they're setting it in the Mushroom Kingdom. This is that exact person from the games.
We'll
You
have
can
to
take
see.
you can kind of distance like it was so much easier for me to distance game Mario from 93 live action Mario. They're totally different. So it was way easier for me to kind of accept that it's more of a parody than anything.
I think the hard thing with this new upcoming movie is this movie you could have called it anything in the world, like, okay, Plumbers in Dinosaur Land, for instance. And I think it would have done a lot better
Oh no, not
because
with that name, but
because it had the name Mario attached to it and it's nothing like Mario, that's why it flopped. If you would have
see,
had it
so
if
they
you would
should
have
have
had it
advertised it
called
as like a Spaceballs or
no. What I'm saying is like there's lots of movies where they're good if you can distance the name they're attached to. So for instance, this movie I still love it as a Mario movie, but when I first saw it, I was really confused. Later on, when I started to distance the name from the movie, you can really enjoy it. So, for instance, if you just called it Dinosaur Land and none of the characters were named after the video game, it's still a really, really actually good movie.
I don't think that this movie would have any cultural relevance besides being the same as how it's perceived now. I think that no one would remember this movie at all. It would just be some cheap $1 rental at the DVD store for the rest of eternity that no one ever talked about. I'm not saying it's
I
not
don't
now,
know.
but
It's a lot
it
like the Godzilla one with Matthew Broderick. Like, it's a good movie, but it's not a good Godzilla movie. Same thing with this movie. It's a good movie, but it's not a good Mario movie.
mm,
And I think the problem with this new upcoming one is because it's CGI. I think I'm not worried about the voice cast. I'm really not. I think Chris Pratt will do fine. The main thing I'm worried about is how they're going to look because if they look more like the game than anything, I think that's what's going to break it for people. I don't think the voice will. I honestly don't. I
I'm
think
sure they'll do
once
fine.
I'm just really scared like are they going to look exactly like the game or are they going to have like a little spin on them? Because if it's like I don't know because I really don't want them to look like the video game in this new movie.
They're going to though.
But at the same time I do. Like it's kind of something I've been fighting. It's like I
I just
don't
feel
want them to.
like they're kind of writing themselves into a corner by making it with the games because as you know, and the reason why so many video game movies fail is because you actually get to play the game. You don't want to necessarily watch Uncharted. You want to play that. You want to be the character instead
Mhm.
of watching some famous person try to be the character even though they're nothing like them. They're just famous. I feel like it's going to kind of be the same thing. I
Well,
love Chris Pratt,
there's
but
some things that
he's
failed with
clearly
Uncharted.
not the best Mario. I'm
We'll
not saying the
have to
whole movie,
see.
but
I understand that they chose Chris Pratt because he's a big name, he's an easy sell.
right.
But at the
I,
same time, maybe they did choose him because he's got a good voice. I mean, we don't. I mean, he was the Lego movie, but at the
True.
same time,
But
he
it's
is.
Illumination. That's what they
Yeah,
do.
I
They
know.
get all the big names and then they make a boring, by the numbers, mediocre movie
I
that'll
know,
appeal
but
to the
at the
masses.
same time, I'm still holding my breath on all of this. I'm not going to talk bad about it because I don't know. It's like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Like, yeah, that was terrible when it came out, and obviously I voiced my opinion on the internet like everybody else.
Well, and the
But
trailer did with the teeth, but
but I didn't say anything about the story. And guess what? The story of the first movie was actually pretty decent. It was just the character design that needed to be changed. That made the movie 10 times better.
I have to say though, with Sega, with Sonic, they make it so that it's not like they are able to add to the game instead of taking it away. They made Sonic a fun character to watch, and Tails and all this. They're actually able to tell a story with these people, and they're just kind of fun characters to watch. Mario just doesn't have that same kind of, appeal as Sonic, and I feel that them taking risks in that movie, them not just playing it safe. Like that, you saw the way they designed Sonic. They were not in the right headspace right there, but
Yes,
they
but at the
were.
same time, they were pulling from a bunch of different things. So they were pulling from the other Sonic cartoons. I don't know if you've ever watched those ones like Sonic
Yeah,
Underground. Okay, okay. So they took a lot of different things from those cartoons as well as the video games. With Mario, you actually do have a lot to pull from. You have his original cartoons, the Super Show, and all those other stuff, where he's actually kind of not necessarily mean, but he's always a person that's learning his lesson. Um,
hmm.
so whether it be like in an episode where he's not nice to his brother, he's nice to his brother for the rest of the series after that. They could pull some stuff from this movie where maybe he's a scaredy cat at times, and Luigi's maybe the more outgoing brother. I don't know, but they have a lot to pull from. It's not like they have to pull from the video games only. They can pull from the comic series. Have you ever read those?
I have not. I've heard certain panels, but I've not read the comics.
Those are pretty good because Princess Peach is actually a really good character in those ones. She's like obviously the leader of the Mushroom Kingdom. And while she does get kidnapped by Bowser at first in the comic series, later on she like leads a whole army of toads and she's like at the forefront.
That's
Um
cool.
yeah, Bowser's kind of a worry wuss in the comics, if I remember correctly. He's constantly crying and bawling and stuff, wanting to marry Peach. You have the original Mario cartoon that was before the Mario movie, actually.
Hmm.
It's a Japanese only cartoon. They have an American dub on YouTube and it's remastered and all that other stuff. It's a fan dub, but that one they could pull from too.
And I think that if it was any other company in any other studio, they probably would. And it'd probably be at the very least different and at the very least entertaining. But it's the safest gaming company with the absolute safest movie company coming together to make what is probably going to be the most by the numbers movie you'll ever see in your entire life.
But I'm
And
I'm just not
the
gonna
fact
say
that they
that yet.
haven't shown anything though. They announced this movie forever ago, and all we know is the actors to drum up hype. I've never even
Okay,
heard
so
Chris
you know
Pratt do a
why?
Mario impression.
You know why? You know. So they had a few interviews the other day because you have Jurassic World coming out and you have I think Minions coming out. So you have Illumination giving a few interviews like the head president, and you have Chris Pratt giving a few interviews because of Jurassic World.
Sure.
And so Illumination said the movie's only 1/3 animated, so that's why it got delayed. Now, that could possibly be because of COVID. I'm not going to say that because COVID's
It's kind of far from now.
yeah, it's
They've
kind of
been working with
passed
it.
to a certain degree in terms of the movie companies, but I'll give them a pass for that if that's an excuse. But it's delayed till next year April. It was originally going to come out this December, and we probably would have had something by now, like even concept art maybe leak or a design of a character. But we're not going to see something probably until August or September, I'm going to say.
It's just so frustrating because we've been waiting for this. We've been reporting on this for quite some time. And, like, yes, they had the previous movie, but the new Miles Morales movie trailer, I remember when that came out. And not only is that going to be a totally new story to an extent, I mean, obviously it's connected, but that they have a part 1 and part 2. They were able to write up the whole story, get the animation down. They had some really sick animation, like change ups in the trailer. They had all these cool ideas, were able to animate part of it and just show what they wanted. And that was a long time ago. They were able
But
to
that
show
did
so
get
much of
delayed
it.
till next year.
It did. But they were still able to show so much of it so early on that it's kind of ridiculous that in this movie coming out in less than a year, we have nothing but
Well,
the
they
cast.
could be being safe with it, and instead of pulling a Sonic the Hedgehog where they announce it maybe a little too early and maybe there's a ton of backlash, maybe they're being safe about it and keeping a tight lid on it and having some fans come in and give their opinion about it. Like, oh, you need to make Luigi a little more taller and skinnier, little things like that before they just show the trailer and it could cause a public outcry. You know what I mean? They
I
might be
think
just
that
taking
it's
this. They
kind
might
of
be
a
taking
bad
this
idea.
very seriously.
Because Sonic though got that trailer out so early, that saved that movie.
It did.
We would not have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 without them putting the trailer out that early. Not even a chance.
It did, but what I'm saying is they could be taking the same approach to this, but just showing it behind closed doors and asking fans, okay, what do we need to change about this in order to please you? So we're not having a public like outcry with Sonic, because Sonic might have done better if the first trailer came out like when the second one did and Sonic looked fine.
Right. I just don't see it in their best interest. If I feel like they're not showing it because people are going to be like, "Wow, that looks kind of no, because they're going to I don't know what to think of this movie. It's just such an abstract thing. It's very safe, very Nintendo, very Illumination, but it all goes back to Chris Pratt as Mario. Everybody's dying to know what the heck that's going to sound like and how the whole movie's going to feel. And I wish they would at least...
I just want to know a synopsis.
I think they know that, though. I guess you're right. I think that's why they're waiting, because everybody's kind of on the edge of their seat, like, what is going to come of this? What on earth? And they're kind of hoping it stays in your mind. So, yeah. I think I've said pretty much everything I wanted to say, too, about this new Mario movie. I'm glad I watched this Super Mario Bros. Movie, the one from the 90s, because it kind of gives you a perspective as to how stylized Mario could be. And obviously it's not a good movie, but...
It's still entertaining.
It's still entertaining, and it's still fun to think about that this is... it's fun to be like, this is the same Mario as in the game, this is it. This is him. This whole time, this is who we've been playing as. It's just kind of fun to think about that. And I hope that this next movie, whether it's good, bad, or in between, is at least fun to watch. I've learned that that's the best I can hope for from a Mario movie.
Yeah.
And that's what video game movies should be. They should be fun to watch. They should add something that the games don't have.
Yeah, even if it's not a great movie, I'm not saying Mario has to be a masterpiece and win animation film of the year. It just has to be entertaining. Even if it's nothing like the video game.
Fine by me.
I just want it to be an entertaining movie. That's all I ask.
Yeah, I am very open-minded. You best believe we'll be putting out a video the second we know any more information about this.
Midnight release, baby. We got to go to that midnight release.
That's what. Yeah, I missed all the other Jurassic Park movies. I missed everything. I missed all the Avengers, but You know what? I'm going to Mario day one. I'm camping out for Illumination movie.
You know
what I'm
what?
doing with my
So
life.
I went to go see the new Jurassic World with some friends because it was at the drive-in, and I wanted to see Top Gun Maverick, but Maverick was the second movie. Oh, do not go see Jurassic World.
I heard I was Trent invited me, but I didn't go. I
It
was
is
busy, and I was like,
terrible.
I heard that the dinosaur fights were cool.
No,
What do you
not
mean?
even
No?
that.
Maybe it's different at a drive-in with like CGI experience, but
No, it just was not good, period. The dinosaur fights were stupid, dude. Like, okay, it's a whole nother video that we could do, and I could talk or
and
whatnot.
I will
but
see this movie, and we might
no,
dog on
please
it.
don't save your money, please. That being said, Top Gun Maverick, I've seen it twice now in 1 week. Movie of the year.
I will watch
Movie
Top Gun, and I will watch
the
Top Gun
year.
Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. See it before it goes to home video. Skip Jurassic World, please. I can talk that by myself about all the different stuff that's wrong with it. But please see Maverick. I want to do a podcast with you about
I'll
that
watch
one.
it when it goes to home because I'm
No,
sure
you can't. It is not the same.
I
Dude,
have everything. It'll be.
I understand that, but seeing it on a 70-inch compared to a, I don't know, 750-inch, it is so different in the movie theater.
I get you. I'll watch Top Gun, and then I'll go see Top Gun Maverick, and we'll make a cool video on it.
But seriously, like, I thought nothing could beat Batman this year. Top Gun Maverick, top 5 movies of all time now.
All right.
Even my little brother is 11. It's his favorite movie of all time. He went twice with me. He went to the drive-in and stayed up till 2 with me to watch it. And then he went with my old man and me, and we went to go see it once again, and it's his favorite movie of all time, he says.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll go see it. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the podcast. This thing is over an hour. Oh my goodness. We had so much fun making this. This is the kind of stuff we want to see, and this is the kind of stuff we love talking about. So if you want us to make more stuff like this, talk about stuff, please leave like and subscribe, and just have a great rest of your day. Totally go check out this movie. It is one of the most entertaining, ridiculous ways to spend your night, and I love it all the more now.